Hi, everybody, and welcome to this Fireside chat where we're going to talk about the transition to 6G and especially to a cloud native type of environment. And I have the pleasure to talk to David Soldani, whom I've known for a very long time, and he is now the SVP of Innovation and Advanced Research at Rakuten Mobile. David, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, David, tell us what you do these days at Rakuten.
I joined Rakuten 3.5 years ago, and my initial role was as Chief Information Security Officer for Symphony. And then I moved up to Rakuten Mobile, and at Rakuten Mobile, I'm heading the Next Generation Advanced Research Division. And we are having 4 areas of focus. So we look at the artificial intelligence in all applications, particularly thinking of applying AI to mobile communication networks. We program the Linux kernel using eBPF to achieve advanced networking, observability, and security, also on RMI networks. We work on open APIs, thinking of adoption of the Camara-related APIs, but also leveraging other source of information available from our infrastructure. And the last part is looking into the 6G, contributing to the industry. And in this area, we are particularly interested into the cloud-native aspects of the next generation system, but also artificial intelligence and security.
Doesn't sound like you can possibly ever get bored in your job. And we're going to also have a panel where we're going to talk more specifically about AI and Gen AI for 6G. So right now, let's talk a little bit about being cloud native. And I think that there is a sort of consensus that you want to be cloud native in your networks. However, when that happens, how that happens, and what that means, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say debatable, but there are different views and different approaches to it. So let's just talk about what does it mean to be cloud native first.
So cloud native, there are, of course, various interpretations, but in my view is that workload functions, it is cloud native if it has ability to run on the cloud, so on cloud native platforms such as Kubernetes in this particular case. So support an architecture and all the fundamental enabling technologies to run in clusters, so thinking of containerization and pods. And it has to be also, I would add that decoupled from our cloud native platform. So that, for instance, we have ability to work with any vendor without, say, being forced or being dependent of their underlying software.
Okay, so this is, and there's a lot that is in there. Where are we in the path, and where is it we're going to? So are we cloud native today? Where and to what extent? Because it's not like a binary thing, you are or you're not. You kind of progressively move to it, right? So where are we today with 5G advanced, and where are we going with 6G? I guess it's a big question that we could do spending hours.
Yeah, we started a few years back to work on virtual network functions, but the characteristic of the virtual network function is exactly the same as another function, because the demand for a virtual machine. So you have a vertical integration of the workload and the underlying infrastructure, which is particularly coupled together, because they say, okay, we want to ensure you that that particular virtual network function, it is secure. Therefore, you need to be on my VMs or on my infrastructure. That's basically the story behind that. We want to go beyond that. Going beyond that means that the virtual network functions need to become cloud native functions. And then the cloud native function has to be such that runs on open source cloud-native platforms such as Kubernetes, if you think containerization and pods. So where are we today? So a lot of work has been done, if you think also within the Etsy, but I'm particularly grateful thinking of the job done by the Linux Foundation. So at the Linux Foundations, there are a number of initiatives, so I can just mention a few of them. So initiative, task forces, and projects. So the most important initiative is the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, where you have an aggregation of many projects, including the definition of what a cloud native function should comply with. So this is really essential. Along with that, there have been put together and running many other projects. For example, Nephew. Nephew, it is, in my view, an intermediary step, because what it does, it enables the automation of bringing on Kubernetes virtual network functions. What we want to achieve here is a cloud native function without the needs of using the Nephew software. So in that directions, I would like to mention 3 important projects. The first one is Silva, and that project basically focuses on multi-vendor interoperability and ensures seamless deployment and scalability of cloud-native functions across heterogeneous environment. Very, very important project. I would like also to mention other 2 projects, the CNTI. So CNTI particular focus on the compliance to the CNCF requirements. So you have a number of requirements that the cloud native function should comply with. And then we have an important task force denoted as a Cloud Infrastructure Telco Task Force. And it is about providing reference models to ensure that the cloud native functions compatibility is there with the cloud platforms. So there's still a lot of work to do, because if on the one hand, we have in the Linux Foundation doing a great job, and an organization like Rakuten Mobile having massive adoption of these fundamental enabling technology architectures, on the other hand, still there is a lot of work to do within fora such as the Etsy itself, but also think of the 3GPP and other organizations looking at the standardization of mobile communication systems. I would like to mention, for instance, the ITR vision. It even doesn't mention cloud native. So talk about AI, but at the end of the day, they are missing a fundamental capability that needs to be in place as soon as possible.
So what is that we need? What is that we can do today with 5G advances that becomes more widely adopted? And what is that we need to wait for 6G in terms of being cloud native?
Yeah, I think we need to start from the fundamental requirements coming from operators. Vendors always tend to push technologies and then find the use cases around those that justify their business case and potentially the one of the operators. We do have, beyond, of course, improving performance, 3 fundamental key goal indicators or the KPIs. The first one, we need to have an infrastructure that will allow us to increase the revenues. As you see today, comparison between 4G and 5G, we can see that the 5G is already, by overlapping the decade of one technology on the other, is already declining because there are simply no use cases. And no one wants to rebuild the infrastructure just for maintaining the IP address of a mobile phone that moves across the infrastructure. Right? So we need to bring that onto the cloud native platform that will find a way, enable other use cases. That's to increase the revenues. We need to reduce costs. Being cloud native means for us already, we have demonstrated that we have reduced CapEx and OpEx of 30 and 40%. So the total cost of ownership, it is really improving by being cloud native. And then the last point, which is also very important, it is about risk mitigations. So if you think the risk you're having, the dependency on the supply chain, dependency on whatever issue they may occur, on having no ability to do anything on your infrastructure is a really big problem. So you are completely dependent on vendor, and in some cases, even on a single vendor. So that's a very, very high risk and dependability, which we need to shift towards something I can mitigate easily. That's on a cloud native. That means for me, easily to replace one workload with another. So this is our functionalities and capabilities we're expecting, not only from 6G, but also earlier, thinking of the upcoming releases of 5G, 5G Advanced, but also O-RAN, what comes out from the O-RAN Alliance.
Absolutely. So it just sounds like a cloud native approach is going to improve 5G right away in terms of the efficiency and therefore profitability and monetization opportunities there that we haven't seen yet with 5G. So it's going to help us with 5G, and then eventually we will need it for 6G. So let me ask you kind of that devil advocate's question here. Since it's so advantageous, why is there, why is it taking so, I mean, it's taking, in a way, taking some time. So why don't everybody let's just do it tomorrow? And you guys at Rakuten have been more aggressive than others, but what do you think it's kind of slowing down adoption? Or maybe that is not slowed down, or what do you think?
No, I mean, the adoption, it takes time. So there are fundamental enablers that and leads that needs to be in place. So the technology, I think it is mature. It is a matter now of technology selections and how we design the functions, but the technologies and the architecture are there. Although I also believe that the underlying platforms has to evolve. So we need to have elements where I have ability to optimally utilize my virtual and physical resources. And there are many technology coming, like the composable, disaggregated infrastructure, where I can expose the same resources to my nodes in the cluster. I can have cluster mesh. I can have the next generation of the Kubernetes control plane. I can think of horizontal, vertical auto-scaling, but also the ability to scale the cluster itself to add more node automatically and so forth. The security of the platform can be also enhanced, but I think the technology is definitely there. So what is missing now is the willingness from operators to take this forward, and the industry to start thinking that that is truly the way forward. Because thinking of the 5G, we really don't have the business cases, right? How many carriers have deployed the standalone configuration? It's not because it's not working, because there is no business case. So we need to move into the direction and into the workload designs that support new use cases and expose this capability. Because, for example, if I'm building data centers, I need to have the ability not only to offer connectivity, but also to offer other services. And that is also an advantage why I should not buy only hardware and software dedicated only to maintain and offer the connectivity. I need to have a portfolio or application and ability to expose other type of service and functionality so I can then monetize. At the same time, I need an infrastructure which is even more than resilient, has to be available anytime I need. And this is what I can achieve with a distributed system that automatically orchestrates workloads between clusters. So if I have a failure, I can immediately relocate the function to other areas, or getting closer where the needs are so that the services can maintain. And beyond this, I need to have the ability to link my workloads, providing connectivity with my AI platform. And that is exactly an environment which I need and achieved through the container orchestration where I can have in the same clusters, this kind of workloads that also communicate with my AI platform, and I can get the services from my AI platform in terms, for example, generative AI, so ability to generate content and pass these services to my connectivity layer.
Absolutely. So, and requires a big change. So I want to ask you two final things. So the first one, you mentioned Open RAN. How do you see cloud native and Open RAN go together? Does one need the other? Are they independent? They support each other.
Yeah, I mean, they support each other. Open RAN has, by definition, the attribute open. It relates to interfaces. Is that really important to open all interfaces? We need to open the vertical interfaces, not the horizontal interface. So if, for example, if somebody comes to me and says, okay, look, you need to come along with my VCU and VDU. Yes, but are you able to be on my platform with no changes? The answer is yes, welcome, right? So Open RAN has done a lot of work to investigate the openness of interfaces across, like, say, the front hall, mid hall, back hall, and vertically, user plane, control plane, and also towards the platform. I think we need to still do a lot of work when we think of having the workloads cloud native, but it's definitely into that direction. So what I want to stress the fact here that we do have many test beds, and I visited recently some of them where they test, for example, the compatibility of the front hall. And then I said to them, okay, fine, show me the platform where you run the workloads, all monolithical. Vendor X, vendor Y, vendor Z, they were all vertically integrated. So they had no idea. So this telco, they have no idea how Kubernetes works. This is a big problem. And it is one of the blockers I think that we need to solve, because I do understand that there is a need of reskilling. People need to learn, but that's definitely the way forward that we need to go cloud native. I see that there's no choice in front of us.
Yes.
For business reasons, and as well as for the technical feasibility of the underlying technologies.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about what is that you learned as you embarked in this path towards cloud native, and Rakuten, you've been at the forefront on that. So what is that you have learned going through the process so far?
Yeah, so this is an experience I'd like to share with all telco, because I'm originally for computer science, although I then have an engineering education on electromagnetism. So I had a chance to across the whole stack. But the last 10 to 15 years, I was particularly focused with vendors, and the vendors is very telco oriented. So if I think of me that I was running research organizations, we were very theoretical. We were thinking about improving the performance end-to-end without thinking at all of the vertical stack, how that particular function will be then implemented, how will be that deployed, how will they manage? No, nothing. We were not considering this. So for me, it even initially, I thought it was insulting my intelligence even to think about things were implemented. Then I found the reality was completely different. And here I have to be grateful to my managers that they hire me, and the opportunity to work for Rakuten and Rakuten Mobile and Symphony. And I can tell you that the path for improving my skills and competencies has been very hard. And I have dedicated around 1,000 hours of personal time to go through those stack. I have my own laboratory. I have installed the Kubernetes in my cluster. I can check my workloads. And but this has been a very hard but fascinating and unnecessary step for a telco, for telco personnel to remain in business. So I'm extremely happy about this. It is so fascinating, so many new things, so many functionalities that integrate extremely well with all the security enabling technologies as well as with artificial intelligence.
Yes, well, David, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation, and we clearly get a sense that you're not going to get bored, but it's not like easy work. It's a lot of fascinating and yet demanding. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, and thank you all in the audience for following us.
Thank you for having me.